All I want to do is zoom, a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your rump. Musical Tourette's, if you haven't heard it from me before, that's what my family says that I have. But if you do know that song, all I want to do is zoom, a zoom, zoom, zoom. If you do know that, then you're probably pretty cool. I better get into sharing my 2023 results before the year's over, because you know how fast time goes by. Don't blink, especially when you get to be, my age. So let's take a look at what went on in my first full year of trading. And here it is, all in front of you. No suspense needed. Let's just take a look. Categories. We got months on the left, categories on the top here in the columns: premium, dividends, interest, and then totals. And then we've got totals of each column here, and a grand total of $262,461 collected in premium, dividends, and interest. So one thing to note, you could see, and I'm sure you know what, let's just do this. If we look at interest from January all the way down to December, you'll notice something interesting about the numbers. Can you tell me why these totals are doing what they're doing month by month? If you can leave me a comment down below as to why the interest totals changed so dramatically. I know you know the answer. And then dividends, a couple things to note here. You can see that obviously March, right? June, September, December, obviously those companies or those quarterly payments were by far the outliers. But if you look at December, that number is crazy compared to all the rest of the months. And if you've been following the channel, you probably know why. I made some big dividend plays regarding oil in December of last year, one of which was EOG, and I'll tell you why. EOG Resources, I got involved in the ownership of, even though right now I'm crying in my beer over the value of EOG. But the dividends on EOG, let's take a look. I'll also tell you, so I did have 1,800 shares of EOG in December, collected the special dividend, and then I sold all of my shares at 123.49. So that's making me look like a genius. However, I've gotten back in. I've gotten back in on EOG in order to collect the fixed dividend, and I've kind of been lambasted since then. But let's look at the dividends. I know you, if you've seen this before, you know what I'm about to show you. But if we go to, this is seekingalpha.com, my favorite website with regard to stocks. Click it on the dividend tab, and then within the dividend, what you'll see is a dividend scorecard. So last week was that last week? What's today? Oh wait, that was yesterday. So yesterday I did lock in on my 3,000 shares of EOG. I locked in 91 cents per share. So just under $3,000 will be paid to me on January 31st for EOG. However, last month I had a nice payment, because if we go to dividend history, you can see that EOG likes to pay their fixed dividend along with a special dividend, and it's just excess free cash flow that they want to give people like me, little old me, the owner of the company. So I was able to collect $1.50 a share at the end of last year, and then I just locked down 91 cents a share on 3,000 shares yesterday, and that'll be payable at the end of the month. So I did that on, so I got Devon Energy, Valero, ExxonMobil, Chevron, just way too many oil companies that should be in one person's portfolio. But that's where the big dividend number came in December. Okay, that big outlier there, 12,416. And then I spent a lot of time working on my Liberace retracements, aka Fibonacci, along with the Elliott wave theory. And in doing so, I was doing a lot of swing trading and not a great deal of options selling. As you can see, it was actually the second lowest month of the year in premium collected. And then I did not create a category for swing trade profits. But if I continue to go down that road, then I will for 2024, because I am keeping track of them separately for 2024. So you can see the premiums I had. And if we go to and believe me, this was my actual stacked bar chart. Is that what it's called? Column chart? I don't even know. This was the very first one I've ever created. I usually have my wife create charts for me, but I wanted to create my own. So what did I do? Of course, I watched a YouTube video, created it in like 4 minutes, because that's really how easy it is. But this shows something very interesting. One, I had 4 really awesome months as far as totals are concerned. You can see them here. April, May, September, and October. Not that I would discount any of the months. They were all tremendous and all essentially over what my goal was. My goal was a monthly total of 10,000, and I didn't have a month less than 10,000, and most all the months were over. Well, let's see. How many were over 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the majority of the months were over 20,000. So I'm very excited about that. Proud to have a first year to exceed my original goal with regard to trading options, collecting premium and dividends. But on the bar chart, you can see how that plays out, with the green being premium, right? Blue being dividends, and then the yellow/gold being interest, for a total of 262,461. But what I found interesting was how close I came to 30,000 on 4 separate occasions, yet never exceeded it. So I was thinking, is that one of those mental blocks that I have? Because I have many mental blocks and anchors that try to prevent me from being my best self or my potential self. And I think we all suffer from that. So we do need to look ourselves in the mirror, just like Michael Jackson once told me. He said, starting with the man in the mirror. So from time to time, I remember what he told me, and I will look in the mirror and say, is that just a coincidence, or is that just a mental roadblock? So in January of 2024, my goal is to exceed. I actually just gave myself the chills. That's not even a joke. I just gave myself the chills, because I was about to say that my goal for January of 2024 is to exceed 30,000. Not only that, my eyes are watering a little bit. Luckily, this camera is just, through the actual MacBook here, so it doesn't pick up too high of definition. It must be a mental and obviously physical roadblock. So do you ever deal with things like that? I do all the time, my entire life. Just, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. Even when I became what would be considered pretty successful as a real estate broker/real estate investor, I still would suffer from imposter syndrome from time to time, which would be, do I really know what I'm doing? Is this even deserved? And so obviously my first year of trading, when you look at some of the totals, I think I ran into some mental roadblocks that prevented me from reaching what my actual potential is in this investing community. So I'll be trying to break through, kick down that door in 2024. And it's not going to be easy, because the trades I've made already this year are, I'm collecting premium, but I'm doing it on companies that are going downtown to Chinatown: Tesla, Palantir, SoFi, Gold Miner GDX. ExxonMobil just tried to bulldoze me today. In fact, it closed at $97 after being as low as like $96.20. And I have never seen it that low in the time that I've been dealing with it. But this is what we got. A total of $193,547 in premium collected in 2023, $48,575 in dividends, and $20,336 in interest paid to me. And this is from the account that I show on YouTube. I don't even add up I let like Vanguard do all the math for me because I don't really trade in the Vanguard. It's the old school, account, retirement, etc. It does have a brokerage and a IRA in there. So I just am focusing on these spreadsheets, etc., with the Robinhood account that I show on the YouTube. So a total of $262,461. Got that going for me. A goal of 300,000. Do you ever have those two voices? One's on one shoulder and one's on the other. Because the one voice just like shook his head and said, no, 350. So I think the goal is going to be 350,000. We're going to make it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live right here and now. We're going to make the goal 350,000 collected in the three categories for 2024. So you heard it here live. Wish me luck. But showing you some of my old school spreadsheets because I keep track of every single trade. Obviously, the font, very tiny. So please squint your eyes just a bit. But you can see right from the start, I was trading Devon Energy, and I'm not sure that I didn't just create an incredible confirmation bias that Devon Energy was one of my sweethearts. Because here's a 57 put. Hello. And think about what Devon is trading at now. Only I know best because I still own so many shares. 4109 closed today. I think that's a 52-week low. Don't remind me. But look, I was buying Apple at 124.77 and then of course let it get called away at like 129. Come on. Google selling calls at 92. Just insane, some of these numbers that we see here. What else was I? Taiwan Semiconductor in the low 70s, Verizon in the 40s, Tesla selling puts on Tesla at $98. Hello, the good old days, right? So I do have every month. Hopefully you keep track of every single one of your trades as well, because I like to look back at it and just try to notice one, patterns, two, learn from mistakes that I've made. I would have made way more money if I would have just been buying stuff and holding it, like Apple and Google and Tesla, etc., etc. And another one of my sweethearts, if you were watching some of the early videos, I think I didn't start until maybe towards the end of February as far as the YouTube trade videos are concerned. But Blackstone became a real sweetheart. But look what I was trading, 73s. I was owning it in upper 70s into mid 80s. Google I was owning in the 80s and 90s. Apple you saw owning that in the 120s. So if I would have had a crystal ball, I would have made way more money just buying and holding or selling extremely conservative calls and rolling out and up along the way. I don't know if I've learned my lesson because I have way more fun trading and selling options than I do just buying and holding, which is what most people should do. And that's probably if you're watching this video, I would say that's probably not what you want to do. You want to trade just like me because we're crazy. So I did want to just check in. This was supposed to be like a 5-minute video, but you know how I like to ramble. So that is the year end, but I could check that off of my to-do list because I wanted to share that with you. One, to lock it in. Two, to state a goal out loud, a goal obviously that makes me scared, which reminds me, I was just given this advice today. Had a little meeting with the little real estate brokerage team and was talking them all into raising their goals. So I have them submit in writing, like old school. I have a goal sheet that they fill out and then submit to me. And for the most part, I'm typically always talking them into raising their goals. And then there's usually one agent that I have to talk into lowering his goals. I like his enthusiasm, but let's let past performance help us dictate future results before we get too carried away. So I need to give myself that advice. Make some goals that scares you a little bit. So that we just did, 350,000 is what we want this number to be at or plus for 2024. And I think it's going to be much more difficult this year than it was last year. But you know what? Again, who knew? when I was trading Google and Apple at those low valuations, nobody knew, right? The tech stocks had been beaten downtown to Chinatown. So nobody knows what's going to go on in 2024 either. We'll be keeping an eye on it together. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you are indeed a subscriber. Subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, click that like button, share with a lovable friend, and I will see you in the next video.